Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be looking at AGIX. Let's get into the price action and see what's going on. Okay, so primarily what we were talking about last time was actually looking for this as a fourth wave still. As long as we remain within this zone of this 3224 to this 2673, we can look for this potential of actually rejecting here still for a fifth wave. Now, it is possible that we could actually already be within this fifth wave, and we're going to go over this count first, and then we're going to talk about a couple of the other more bullish possibilities that we could see play out here. Okay, so let's get into that first. So what I would be looking for here would be that we could actually be starting this fifth wave already to the downside. Now, what I'd be treating this as a wave one, looking for wave two to the upside, and then looking for the possibility to have an break to the downside towards this 20 cent 17 for a wave three. So this is valid for as long as we actually remain below this high of this 32,556. As long as we're below that, we can look to potentially still break down here. Now, what I would be treating this as within the structure here is as an A, a B, and looking for this as a C wave. Now, the 1-to-1 would actually look to take us back above this high. So if we do achieve 1-to-1, it would actually invalidate the potential that we're already within this fifth wave to the downside. And we'd have to treat this just as a corrective structure then into these lows. What we'd be looking for here, though, is the potential that we could see a little bit more upside. So the typical rejection area that we look for here is this 3130. And this would be a 0.786. So we've already come up here and we've hit the 702. But if we do look to push up one more time and take this high here of this 3076, we could look to potentially hit the 786. So the 786 would be interesting because it would actually be a retest of this previous swing high here as well. And basically that could be quite an interesting level to just keep an eye on. Now, the way that I'm looking at this move at the moment is treating this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm looking for this additional fourth and fifth wave here. So this fourth wave could potentially be completed already. What we could then see is a fifth wave up towards the zone of this 3117 to this 3065. Now, if we do push up here like this, what I would then be looking for is evidence of an additional fourth and a fifth. So this, if it doesn't extend out even further, could look to potentially push us up towards this 3198 to this 3127. So like I said, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this zone here of this previous swing high at this 3127. This could be quite an interesting area if we do get an additional fifth wave up, a retracement down, an additional fifth wave up could look to complete this move. Now, if we want to argue that this is corrective, what we'd be looking for from completion of this is then looking for an additional 5-wave move which takes out this low here. Now, what we could also argue is that within this count we could still actually be within a corrective structure where we have a bigger corrective move here for this wave 4. Now, what I'd be looking for this would be that actually this is a W, this is an X, and then we're looking for a Y wave to the upside. So the key difference here is basically, if this is the case, our 1-to-1 of our Y wave would actually be a lot higher than the typical fourth wave, and this would be strange for us to see this actually push up into this zone. If it does, it becomes more likely we have a different structure playing out, which we're going to go over in a second. But if we did actually see this push back up here and we see something like a move up towards a 0.618, where basically this all becomes a W, this becomes a Y, this becomes A, B, and C for a Y wave again, and then we look to break to the downside. So some interesting zones I'll be keeping an eye on here would be this zone of this 3327. That could potentially be an interesting area, as well as just above this swing high here that we have at this 3252. We do have this area here which has a 0.382, a daily point of control, and the potential for a swing failure off of this high here at this 3289. So we'll be keeping an eye on this level if we do look to push up a little bit higher here. This could tie into potentially coming up to the 786, which also would be a retest of this lower zone. Now, doing a move in this way, even if we do push up a little bit higher, it wouldn't invalidate the fourth wave, but it just would be uncommon for it to push past that 50%. Now, if we do look at this as a W, X, and a Y, what we'd be looking for from this point is actually rejecting in a bigger 5-wave move and taking these lows. Now, the other way we were discussing this structure the last time we did the video is we were talking about the potential that we could have actually just had this as a bigger Y wave that it's actually completed into this low, where this has become W, this has become X, and then within here we've had a 3-wave move to complete this Y wave. Now, if this is the case, this means that we could potentially look to a breakout. Now, we were talking about finding a 4th wave here previously, looking for this as basically 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we just didn't find that fourth and we didn't develop the fifth. So currently the structure is not really good for it. The only way that would really make sense is if we looked at it as something like this. Now, this would mean that we would have to complete this 5-wave move here and then maintain this low of this 2686. So basically what this is looking at a series of 1s and 2s, 1 2 1 2 1 2 here, and the problem is that reason I don't like this is this wave 2 pretty much almost came down as low as this wave 1. It was very close, so it becomes less likely that this is a wave 2 in this case. But nevertheless, if we do see a push up towards this 37.59, that would then tie into the idea of this being a 1 2 3 4 and a 5, which would mean that we'd be looking at bigger impulsive structure here, potentially to the upside. Now, the key zone that we need to get above is this 38.26 to confirm an impulse. If we did, this would mean that we could count this as 1 2 3, and then we'd be looking for this additional fourth wave here and a fifth wave to the upside. So this would be leading us up into a bigger sequence of 5-wave structures, looking to actually break out of this zone. Now, this is not my primary idea here, but really as long as we hold this low, potentially we could see this play out. Now, what we would want to see here is effectively we would want to see this 5-wave sequence play out like this, where we see this as a 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, and then we'd want to see a 3-wave move back down, finding support above this 2778. Losing this 2778 would make it less likely there will be continuation, in which case this could be potentially forming an additional 1 2 here, and then we start to push up in a bigger way. So that's what I'd be looking out for here. Losing this low would invalidate this potential and would make it more likely that we're actually going to have a direct breakdown from this point. So this is going to be a key low, this 2684 area. Now, one thing we also can't rule out here is the possibility that we could be looking at something like this in a bigger corrective structure. So if I come back out here to the daily, looking at this move rather as something like this, where we actually have this as a bigger corrective structure, where this is a W, this is an X, this is a Y, we form another X wave, and then we get a Z wave to the downside. Now this would be calling for slightly higher prices here, so this would be looking at this move here as an A, a B, and a C. So 1 to 1 of this would actually be up here towards this 3730. So if we do actually continue to extend out up here and we do get a 5-wave move, which takes us up into this zone here of this 3730, we could actually see this play out where we get this as a bigger A, B, and a C wave, which brings us up into these levels. Now, an interesting level of this would be the 0.618 of the previous X wave that we've had to the upside, which would actually be here at this 3553. Alternatively, we also have the 1 to 1, which would bring us back into the top of this channel. So this would be something that I'm keeping an eye on if we do continue to find support here and continue to push to the upside. Now, obviously, if we do move up in this way, we'd have to be careful that it's not impulsive, in which case we wouldn't be looking for this additional drop to the downside in this Z wave here. So we need to be careful of that. There is still potential here that we could, break down directly. We could start to find support and push up a little bit higher here, but really we need to just be patient with this one and see how the structure actually develops. Now, I'm going to discuss a couple of things here. What I was talking about in the previous videos was a few things. We were talking about the possibility of seeing something like this with the descending speed fan, where we're looking at this high here as a crucial point, looking for the possibility that, if we did push to the upside, we could see a rejection of this orange line again. Now, what I want to see here is if we actually manage to get above this and start to find support above here, this could actually indicate that we could see this move up into these higher levels here and these yellow boxes, this one here between this 3601 to this 3429, which would be looking to actually come back and test some naked points of control. There are some monthly and daily ones in here, as well as a 382 retracement of this entire move. So it would be an interesting level if we do look to push up higher here. This could actually bring us into these levels where we could see this move come up here. Now, if we are also talking about some other things here, what we could talk about is the possibility that within this, if we take this entire range here, we can see that actually our value area high is much higher here towards this 38.31. So if we do see a bigger move to the upside here, I would be keeping an eye on this level as a potential rejection area, as well as this previous point of control that we have here towards this zone of this 41.58. Any kind of a 3-wave move up here would be worrying to me and would indicate to me that we're potentially going to see another low come in. Now, if we also have a look at this immediate drop of this range here, we can see just above, or pretty much on this swing high here, we do also have this value area high towards this 32.49, which is interesting to me. So gonna have to keep an eye of this on this zone here in case we see this, you know, an interaction with that level. So we need to just obviously also bear in mind that if we look at this whole area as a range, you know, if we are looking at this, even if we do push back up here, we do have this value area high, which is sitting here towards this 43.86. That would be quite an interesting area. Now, this would tie into that idea of a W, X, Y, X, and another Z, which could then actually look to push us down towards this point of control and this value area low that we have here. So still looking at that possibility that this whole move here is within a bigger fourth wave, and then looking for that possibility of a bigger fifth wave at a later point. So this is what we're looking for. As long as we remain above this 1569, I will still be looking out for that potential of having a fifth wave to the upside, which could even push us as high as this $1.31 to this 86.90. The key thing here is there's not enough information here to say that we are in this fifth wave yet, because what we'd want to see is this move starting to break up and actually take some of these key highs here. So we need to be aware of that. At the moment, we don't have that information, so we just got to be a bit patient and wait for the confirmation. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Everyone have a great day. See you in the next one. Take care.